Good morning, good morning, good morning. Henry's here. What's good,
I'm
Mr.
here.
Grape?
Hey, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I thought I lost all the audio, and in fact, maybe you hadn't started yet.
Well, I
But
kind of
GMC,
half did. I threw out a comment here because I'm curious. Like, dude, I'm just kind of winging some of this stuff. I'm curious if you heard. Andrew, did you hear this by chance? Did you hear the chest pump song play? Which, by the way, it needs to start like this. Hang on, I got to throw it up on the screen here. It needs to start with the actual video. That needs to be the intro.
yeah,
That's
I didn't hear
how
it,
we're gonna kick off the show.
but I saw Andrew give a check mark, and I was like, okay, so maybe you would ask, like, can you hear me? And maybe he gave you a check mark, and then I left.
Yeah.
Okay. I made that whole thing up. So
okay, well that works. That works.
Fair.
We're here.
It's
here. Working. Dude, how are you? We haven't chatted much recently. Let's see. I did a show last week, flew solo. Actually, it was kind of fun. But I missed chatting with you about this. You didn't hear the music too. Damn. What the heck could that have been? I'll play with that later, but hang on. That's on.
It's a problem.
That's on.
It's a real problem.
It's almost like I don't know what I'm doing here.
Huh. I mean, it's a slight lack of professionalism, if we're being completely honest, right? Promising chest pump video, and
do you hear this?
Nothing. No.
You don't hear that? What?
No.
Okay, one last try. Do you hear this?
Yeah.
All right. That half helps. We'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, I heard that. Just for if it helps at all, when you played it, there was like some feedback of like me talking, like me saying yes, it echoed back, but maybe that's just another setting.
You remember that old issue we had where every time I did it, like you would hear echo until I figured out what to mute, what to like solo and stuff like that. Yeah, so to hear the computer stuff, I got to make it where you're going to get that loop. But the other one's like native. It's like on board on my little soundboard thing. That should have played. I'll fuck with that later. Right now, let's fuck with the market, man. How are you? How's Christmas? How was New Year?
I don't even think we. I mean, not that we would wish each other Merry Christmas, but like. You know what? I took some time off over the holidays, kind of unplanned, kind of planned. Like I was debating it in my mind, and so I was home a lot, and it was nice, dude. I really got into like enjoying not doing like full-time work all day.
Yeah,
I did miss the show like last week. You know, like I was it last week where I was like I had some stuff I had to deal with, and because I wanted to be on camera, and I was home, and then I got hit with some work stuff I had to play around with.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got to get you on camera one of these times, and especially, I can mention it here a little more now, but we are getting ready to ramp up a content platform, which is like this is gonna be really, really cool. But a content platform over on CryptoSlam. So with some shows lined up too. Of course, my morning 5-minute videos will be there. But got a couple other shows cooking with some other guys. Some I'll be a part of, some I won't. Maybe this show. Well, this show will be on it too. But maybe we'll find a time to do this show when you can be on camera and really make it official, right? Have it as an official Slam Vision show. So let's keep that in the back of mind. Yeah, dude, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always going back to this old single episode we did on CryptoSlam Clubhouse. It was called GMCM, CMGM, whatever. Dude, something like that would be awesome. Just like
the morning show that you did back in the day, that one, like
it's like
with you and Johan.
Well, not quite like that. We did. It was me, you, Peter, a couple other community managers.
Yeah.
So something like that. But we'll figure this stuff out. So holidays were good. Man, there's a lot going on, and at the same time, like it feels like everything's on pause, right? Until these Bitcoin ETFs.
Yeah, you know it's interesting. So like we haven't chatted in probably 2 weeks, at least like an in-depth chat. So the vibes are definitely, because like everything lags a little bit, right? As far as like the market heats up, and then projects start heating up, and then people start reaching out again. And we're not like full bull market vibes by any means, but there's okay, so what would it have been? October, November, we started talking about the market, like the forecast 500 was starting to climb back up. Yep. Well, I think now we're seeing like 2 months later, at least on the project end of things, where it's heating back up again with like collaborations, partnership requests. Those things are trickling in now. And I was talking with Adzi, our collab manager, yesterday. I said, I think the floodgates are going to be opening soon, because I can just feel that like that momentum that's building, and it's just getting busier and busier, like on a daily and weekly basis behind the scenes of people reaching out that wouldn't have been reaching out before. So there's some momentum, but yeah, I think everybody's waiting on the ETF news for sure.
What's interesting there too is a lot of that like energy, it's there, but then the action isn't on Ethereum. It's like I mentioned this in a video earlier this week. If you're not feeling like we're back yet, it's probably because you're focused on Ethereum. And part of what we're going to do here shortly is show where that action is and how much we're really missing out on Ethereum. And I'm sure we're on the same page here. Like, I'm a big believer this all rotates back to Ethereum. And when it does, man, we might cook in a way we haven't before. So I learned from Tickle, who guys like Tickle Starf is our older brother. And he does a lot in the Bitcoin side of things. So he told me that a lot of the guys trading BRC20s and ordinals are not NFT people. Like, ordinals is their first time, and inscriptions for their first exposure to like blockchain collectibles. Man, when they start seeing profits over on Ethereum, I think they'll rotate over onto that side too. It gives us a big pool of people who had never bought before that could come rushing in.
It's the only thing I'm doing right now is ordinals. Not degenning at all on mainnet. It's a lot of fun being in those communities. I'm hoping that like we can launch a ordinals project in Kongs. We missed the first wave, and I think this is an even better time to launch a project. I like the energy over there, and obviously Solana's doing quite well too.
Would you guys do a project? Kongs do a project on Bitcoin?
Dude, I'm telling you, like I think it would be such a miss. I get so many DMs from people asking, like within the community, asking, why are we not doing ordinals? Like, why can't we do ordinals? And to me, I'm just like, feed the people. If that's what the people want, let's do it. Like, I realize it's a little bit outside of what our normal, we're on mainnet, we're on Poly, we're on Ronin. So when I say it's outside of like what our devs deal with, but that's fine. There's enough places out there that can help with like the dev side of things, the inscriptions. So I'm like, why would we not? We're on Polygon, Ronin, and mainnet. Why do we not want to have something on Bitcoin? That's my take. I'm on a campaign right now to do some convincing within the rest of the team, because I know there's lots of other team members on board with it. Doesn't have to be big, but like it doesn't have to be a huge collection. But like I was talking with Magic Eden about it yesterday. I think it would go over well. I think Kongs are received well within the ordinals community, and there's a big ordinals community within Kongs. Like a lot of people degenning into ordinals. So yeah, I want to see it, dude. That's a goal of mine in the next handful of months.
Yeah, dude, that'd be great. I would like even in bats, like do a small handful of inscriptions. Whatever goes on Bitcoin becomes like elite. It's kind of like Jack Butcher, also a topic we're going to get into, but you putting just a small piece of your collection on Bitcoin, I just think where people are starting to assign more value to those things over there. It's really, really interesting how that's all playing out. Let's look at the market. Let's dive into that to start. By the way, we might have Biggie Poppins join. He reached out to tune in. I don't know if he's going to join, but I hope he does. I don't know if you know Biggie. He's cool as fuck, though.
Why does that name sounds really familiar to me? Where is Biggie out of?
So Biggie's in the Moonbirds community. He's on the NFT live show as well. Art guy, like very much into art, and of course collectibles too. But yeah, he's kind of one of those up and comers, dude. He's awesome. Biggie's, when you meet people and like everyone's great, right? But there's certain people you're like, this, like, I just got a connection there, right? That was Biggie for me.
Yeah.
So love this guy.
Cool.
Right.
Hope he comes by.
I think he's gonna. Let's take a look at the market real quick. Just hit some numbers. I've not been paying a close. I've not really been digging into the market this week. It's just busy. Kids are home. But it's not looking great right now. It's kind of like the title of this show, that NFTs are on pause until the ETF thing happens. And this really started a couple of weeks ago. In the past day, by the way, this index is measuring the value of the market, right? This is not sales volume, it's value. Past day, we're down 1.28%. Which really stood out to me, though, in the past 30 days, we are almost flat now. So we've almost erased all of the gains that we've had, again, value-wise, from December. So that, I don't know, not surprised, Don't love to see it. Also, totally understand where we're at because we just took off like this rocket, like end of October. We're maintaining right now. When you maintain, you do bleed out a bit, I guess, but we're maintaining. Everybody waiting on that news for the Bitcoin ETF. If and when that happens, and if crypto prices rock, well, we know what people do when they're feeling a little rich, right? It translates right
Hey,
to NFTs.
can I ask you a question? Because I don't think I've ever asked you this on the Forecast 500.
Yeah.
Is that mainnet or does that go across chains?
So I'll show you. It's a good question because we do have indexes that measure Solana, Cardano, and Polygon, and ETH specifically. But the Forecast 500 is all these chains. So it's ETH, Solana,
Okay, cool.
Polygon, Cardano, BNB, Arbitrum, Avalanche. It's like, I don't know, 12
It's
chains.
everything.
Yeah, it's like we don't have Bitcoin in this yet, but it's the big boys. So it is a good proxy. It is a good way to measure like the broader NFT market and the value there. And it's great. Like it's one of those things. A lot of people at first don't know how to use it, and I always say I use it as my temperature check, and it's accurate. If I'm feeling that NFTs are down, I look at this and almost without fail, it's in the red. If I'm feeling like, kind of energy wise and volume wise, if I'm feeling like we're up, again, this always reflects it. It does reflect the value, I think, pretty properly. Anyway, get in the habit, and this is anyone watching, get in the habit of checking that. Honestly, it is a very, very useful tool, and it pairs nicely with sales volume. So I'll just say that. You see volume going up and you see value going up, you know something really special is happening. Value, by the way. All right, we'll just dive into numbers. We'll hit on this stuff kind of quick. But yesterday, 42.5 mil. That is cross-chain NFT sales. And that is down from Thursday, actually. Sellers, buyers, transactions, those all fell too. My focus right now, honestly, because we're in this holding pattern, it's trade profits. I want to see if traders are winning, because if traders are winning, well, then this what do we call it? It's not good. We're not in the NFT casino zone right now, but this action continues, and it just tells you people are there engaged and they're trading and again, you're winning. You're gonna find a way for this to continue. So anyway, traders in the profit, 3 million yesterday, and really we've been over 3 million now a few days in a row. We're past the lost harvesting cycle, so stuff's looking good there. As far as what's moving the market, looking at cryptoslam.io at the top 10, the Ordinals collection at the top. They've been at the top firmly for weeks at least at this point. A lot of that node monkeys, by the way. Azuki caught me off guard, though. Azuki at number 2 with over 3 million sales. Dokyo on Avalanche, absolutely rocking. Even Elementals in the top 10 again. So something's cooking there. I think I know
Token
what
drop.
it is. So, say again? Yeah, the token. Yeah. They're definitely teasing at that. Gas Hero on Polygon also on fire lately. Multiple collections, by the way, in the top 20 for them. I think 4 collections. Fragana's, D-Market, Gas Hero Coupon. Yeah, there's your top 10. Biggest thing that stood out today, though, was Ethereum. I mean, it's funny this is news, but Ethereum flipped Bitcoin. That's the first time we've seen Ethereum on top in its 3 weeks. It might be closer to 4 weeks at this point. So Ethereum back on top. A lot of that from Azuki. And with that said, the reason Azuki's pumping is speculation about a token drop here. So what have you heard about that?
Nothing. Just the chatter that you've probably heard. Twitter, they retweeted the tweet from what was the Twitter account?
That Weeb3?
Yeah, Weeb3. To be honest with you, it's really surprising. I mean, Azuki's US based, Zagamon's in California. It's hard for me to picture them doing a token drop, but maybe people are feeling like a little bit more bullish with the FCC in general, and not really fearing that that potential repercussion.
Yep. Is this an Azuki A? Like that I don't know if you see the screen, but that little necklace that she's wearing. I don't know. I don't know their font, I guess, off the top of my head.
It's covered up. I can't see it because of Andrew's comment. Like it's covered up that part of the.
Oh yeah, hang on. There we go.
Yeah, it looks like.
Like, do they have a font
looks like
an A that's associated with them?
You know what? I should ask Enzo that. He's deep into the Azuki culture.
Okay, all right. That'd be great to see a token from them. And also, I mean, I guess it's almost the flip side or the opposite of that. But everybody was speculating that Pudgy Penguins would have a token, and this was coming out around Art Basel, right? And it didn't end up being, but they're going about this another way, and I kind of like how they're doing it. I'm going to put something on screen. You may have something to chime in with that's kind of similar. Let me find this here. Where you at, Pudgies? Where you at, Pudgies?
What's a penguin noise? They just chirp.
I
I need to know.
ever thought
I
about
need
that.
it. I need a noise for when you mention the pudgies.
Can you give me your best impression of what that would be?
No, because I'm debating if it sounds like a seal or like a what are those annoying birds at the beach? A seagull? Like,
Yeah,
a,
I don't even know, man.
what does a penguin say?
Here we go. Okay, yeah. What is something we'll look into? All right.
Okay.
So Pudgy Penguins not launching a coin, at least not right now. And Luca was really specific too, by the way. He said, no, we're not launching a coin at Art Basel. The Pudgies are doing something interesting where they're giving their holders access to other tokens. So you got this Dimensions token, and I think that's a Cosmos or maybe a Solana token. But then you also have the Wasi's Pill token, which is the first like, I don't know, shitcoin or whatever we'll call it on the Blast blockchain. So Pudgy Penguins, and we don't know, but probably Lils too, getting an allocation of those. I think that's pretty interesting. And yeah, cool way to bring your holders into the, DeFi in a way. Get them early access to these tokens, right?
Absolutely. It's what people want right now. I think Neo Tokyo had something really kind of innovative with what they did with their citizens. I think we're seeing something really similar happening in CyberKongs. It's what people want right now. Like, it's so funny how, yeah, maybe I'll get into this. Can I go down a sidetrack for a second? Is that okay?
In fact, I sent you a DM because I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, I think you might have some things you can speak on about this. But sidetrack us, bring us down.
Yeah, because I can't move off of this screen, otherwise it like disconnects me from the stream. Gotcha. So yeah, sidetrack. What I was going to say is it's really interesting how like the meta shifts, right? I feel like over in the thick of the bear, kind of in the summer, everybody was probably in the spring. It was all about IP plays. That seemed to be like the thing. Do you have a toy? What are you? Do you have a animated series coming out? Like everybody was kind of like moving towards the IP play because I think the reality was there wasn't really the degen plays. Tokens weren't taking off, etc. And it's just so funny how the minute the bull comes back, literally, it's like it reminds me a little of that scene from The Shining where Jack Nicholson just like is wiping the pans off the table, like angrily. It reminds me of like, oh, none of that matters, and here's what we care about is tokens, gaming tokens, and in investing in projects. It's literally it's what this space is right now. It defines every bit of it. So I just look at like with CK moving in the direction of playing the IP play because you think to a certain degree that's what people want, even though we're building out other things. And then as soon as the bull comes back, everybody's just laser focused on degenning and specifically tokens. So yeah, I think I think it's what the people want. Above all else, it's what the people want. I don't think they really care about like, are you making an animated series? Are you going to have toys on a toy shelf? I think what they care about is like in the bull, are you going to provide opportunities for me to degen and make some money?
Yep. And am
I crazy on that?
No, you're spot on, and I love it. I didn't used to like this, by the way. If somebody launched a token, I wanted to see a utility for the token. Otherwise, don't launch one, right? Don't put out a token if you don't need it. And I flipped on that. I think people should start putting out tokens with just to start baking it into their ecosystem. So in the future, you can start, doing whatever you want with it. Similar to all these projects putting out an NFT first without having a product, without having anything that it really does. But once you have it out there, you're like, well, what can we build around this? And I want to see that with tokens across projects and platforms too. Put out a token, and then you now have that in your arsenal to do whatever you want with, whatever you want. So I love it, dude. And yes, traders want tokens. They want it for what you were saying. They want to be able to speculate on it, and they want to see if they can make some gains there too. Great. Whatever people want to do with it, let it happen, because whatever's going to happen is just going to happen anyways, right? So let it happen organically. Let the price come, to whatever it's going to reach organically. But then you just have this incredible thing that hopefully is in the hands of, thousands of people, and see what you can do with it. See what you can build with it. So yeah, people love tokens, man. And you
know what? Sorry, no, finish your thought. Sorry.
It does feel like it's ramping up in a way that it hasn't before. So I think what we're going to see here with DeFi and tokens in general, I think tip of the iceberg. Even though some people might argue every cycle you have a new phase, and maybe last phase was NFTs, and before that was DeFi. I don't think they're done. I think those are both rotating in again, but bigger than before.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. I think one of the things like we realize, and like I don't love talking Kongs because I don't even want to come across as a shill, but just sharing the experience of like going through these different phases of like what the market's been like and the things that you're building towards. I this like momentum that is in the market right now, and like we're talking tokens, and you're talking about pudgies and token airdrops to them of other tokens, not their own native token. I was talking about Neo Tokyo Citizens and their opportunities to invest in seed rounds. We're going to see really similar things coming into the CyberKongs ecosystem with Genesis Kongs. It is far more on brand for what NFTs and Web3 kind of are. Because that was what got so many people into that cycle, right? Was just that idea of like, okay, we all want to build brands. Like we want to see NFTs become something bigger, but like kind of what's happening right now where that DeFi component is really starting to come back. It feels a little bit more homey than the idea of like, let's go pitch to VCs and see if they want to throw money at us becoming a brand. And it's really just a bunch of suit and ties that don't give a flying shit about anything other than their own bags. And it's just, I like it. I just like how things feel right now in the market where there's that it's nice to see that coins can run again. I guess that's my point. It's nice to see it can come back.
Do you think now launching a token is a new way to fundraise? And I know it's not new, but do you think Web3 companies, projects, whatever, are looking at them that way?
Oh, I'll go one step further. Launching a token is the only way to fundraise now.
Because nobody's ponying up, right? Investors are. It's changed out there.
The VCs right now do not care at all about your IP. I mean, they care to the extent about your IP. The amount that they care is, okay, is this sustainable enough for us to make our money back and at least have a chance at a moon bag? Like that's what they're looking at. They don't really. The idea that even 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago, like, oh no, we want to see projects building out IP. We want to see toys. I'm telling you, I talk to these people. We want to see toys in toy stores. We want to see revenue. We want to see different revenue streams and scaling verticals. And no, right now they want tokens. It's literally that's all they care about is there a token warrant? What's our allocation? What's the pre-sale value? What's going to be the community round? If you're launching, trying to like give equity, you're not going to get it. They want tokens.
I would have been so rightfully against this before, and again, now I'm all for it. Yes, I agree with those guys now. You know what I mean? Like let the tokens power it all, and let people raise from that. By the way, I want to welcome Biggie freaking Poppins to the show. First time on. And again, Biggie, I was saying before, just the guy I connected with just a couple months ago at this point, and I just freaking love this dude. So welcome to the show, Biggie.
Thank you, my brother, dude. I love you too, man. And I love what Henry the Great was just saying. So we've reached that point, huh, Henry, where we've turned VCs into degens. I love it.
Dude, that's a funny way to put it. They always were. They just did it through more like formal avenues or whatever. Now they're like, fuck it, we want tokens.
Yeah, we want to be able to dump, right?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. The downside to it is I wish instead of everybody going out and doing their seed rounds and raising and giving pre-sale discounts to the suits and ties, I wish it could feel like a little bit more Web3. Like I wish like Portal Coin was going out to the Web3 community in general. The guy who doesn't have a Neo Tokyo Citizen or whatever other, small communities might have had access to the pre-sale. I wish they just opened up a pre-sale. But the reality is these suits and ties don't care about the space at all. They don't care at all. Talking to them, it's like talking to the devil. I'm not even going to lie. It's not like talking like us three right here. It's like talking to a like Jeffrey Epstein. That's what it's probably like. I've never talked to the guy, but I imagine it's kind of like that. It doesn't feel good.
I'm curious because like there are like I mean it could be said, right, that there are a handful of VC firms out there that are like crypto native and like, what do you call it, value add VCs, right? A handful, literally, like with 5 fingers you can probably count them. No, there's definitely no more than 10, right? The rest of them, like when you speak to them, Henry, my question there would be is like, how savvy do you find them to be? You know, because they obviously want the tokens. So I mean, they've got to be somewhat savvy in the space. I totally understand and believe that they don't give a shit about it, though.
Yeah, they're definitely savvy enough to understand the space. They know the household names. You're typically going to be, let's say, held up to a standard of like a pudgy penguin, like as an example, of like, yeah, go ahead.
My question would be there, like, it's like if they're you know, if you're going up to them to raise it, you know what that saying is like, you set the valuation, I'll set the terms. Like, do they immediately demand like you know, all of their, are they okay with certain lockups for the tokens that they get, you know, since they demand tokens? Like, have you seen them try to push back against the idea of like, all right, fine, but you're going to have like a 12-24 month lockup, you know, or like a waterfall situation where, you know, based on certain performance, you know, you'll unlock certain tokens? Because in that regard, like you said, like I'll talk to the devil.
Yeah, they all expect that there's going to be a lockup. There'll be a, you know, vesting period. They all expect that they're going to have the opportunity to dump at least a percentage of it, you know, at TGE. But where it got really difficult in like, you know, cyberkongs, as we like decide like what's the future look like for us, what do we want to do, we already have a token. So implementing another token, we were a little bit surprised in our kind of journey of like going down the route of IP plays and you know, potentially toys and you know, other partners that we're working on implementing other cool things with, which was the meta a year ago and back in the spring when we had talked to people who were like, hey, come up with X, Y, and Z, and then let's talk. And then we come up with X, Y, and Z, and all of a sudden it's like, no, that's not cool anymore. We want a token. Well, we have a token. So in our ecosystem, it's a little bit more complicated to talk to somebody and them want to have anything to do with us because we have a token. And so to introduce another token, well, it's possible, is, man, it's difficult. It's difficult if you already have one. So yeah, I would say, like, yes, they expect lockup periods, but like for us, I would say we didn't make it as far with anybody as to like, hey, how do we want to iron this out? Because we didn't really have plans for another token.
Right on. Damn.
So,
but yeah, if you're, I was talking to a game studio yesterday that did quite well in the early, like in 21 with a bull run. You guys would all be familiar with who they are. And I don't want to say it's almost like they've scrapped the original game and now they're moving on to the next thing. But the reality is, I was talking to the founder and like, I understood where he's from. He's like, we're not going to be able to raise based on the game that already had a token drop. You need another game with another token drop in order to be able to get VCs interested in funding it. Yeah, so it's I don't want to say it's complicated, but it's definitely the new metas.
I think it's more that the metas than like the actual complication they make it out to be, right? Because I have noticed, like, so, you know, like you said, like there's certain keywords like in this cycle that you say them and they just salivate, right? Like tell them like you're gonna launch a collection on ordinals and just watch them be like, how much do you need? Right? Or you know, something like that, and they'll pick up on it. It doesn't matter. It's a token.
No, do you know what's, man, it's so funny you say that, because one of the things, like, man, I don't come from a financial background, you know, like I have a flooring store in real life and I was in the military before that. Like, what do I know about like international business and fundraising, etc.? I remember in preparation for talking to, you know, a handful of these places, just like having conversations with, let's say, advisors, okay? And they'd be like, yeah, tell them this. And I'm like, yeah, but we're not going to do that. Like, we're not, kind of to your point, right? Like, hey, tell them that you're going to do this. And I would say, yeah, but we're not going to do that. And they're like, no, it doesn't matter. You just say it. And if you don't do it, it doesn't matter, but it'll get them excited. And I'm like, what? That's That's how that works. But you want to know something?
It's
That's
exactly how it works.
DJs,
It's
man.
exactly how it works. But then there's this other really dark side of Web3, and I've talked to Huda about this a little bit, and I won't go deep into it, but there's another really dark side of Web3, which is like I'm at the point right now where I will not promise something that we're not like. When I say that we're not going to do, I don't want to be that person because there are some mental cases out there. There's some legit mental cases out there that will hang on your words. And then if something doesn't happen the way that you say it's going to happen and they lose money on it, there's some psychotic people out there where I'm like, nah, I'm not. None of this is worth making shit up just to make people happy in the moment.
I agree 100%. People are so quick to want to write everything in stone, right? It's such a fast moving space. They totally understand it, but it's crazy that in the end, like they want to hold founders accountable for every soundbite that they produce, right? I can only imagine that it's like walking on eggshells. It's so annoying, dude.
It's tough because you also like you want to say things to get people interested, and then at the same time, like sometimes you can admit to a certain degree, like, well, what we said or the way that we said it maybe wasn't actually a great direction for us to take this committee. So we need to go back on it, or we're going to put that on pause. And you don't know how that's going to affect somebody's psyche who, maybe bought 40 of these NFTs because you said this one thing. And it's tough. Like I don't want to say there's very little room to pivot, but it feels like there's very little room to pivot, but you also don't want to take the community off the cliff. So yeah, it's interesting territory out there.
Yep.
To say the least.
I like this guy, Huda. I like him.
Dude, like Biggie again, like Biggie always stood out to me as a guy who's just incredibly knowledgeable about art. And then as I talk to him on these shows, like all the time, I'm like, dude knows everything about everything in this space. He knows blockchain tech. Like he knows the ins and outs of all these blockchains I've never even heard of. He's got this in-depth knowledge of projects, but like his insight into it is like on point. I learned so much from him. Like Biggie, Biggie's under the radar, man. You guys need to be following Biggie if you're not.
Thank you, brother. I spend a lot of time in front of the screen. I'm a DJ like you guys are, but I really am primarily a rebel. Like that's how I got onboarded onto the space back after the crash of 2008, 2009. I'm not that early, but like that's when I first heard of Bitcoin, and I drank the Kool-Aid. Like I think all of us here did. Like I am really, as much as I am a DJ, and yes, I want to make money, I also want to stick it to these motherfuckers. You know,
You're
like
I
want to win. I want to win. I want to take it all. Like no prisoner. Period.
Yep. You're like one of us who were kind of here regardless. Like the money side, that's a side effect, and it's fucking fantastic. But we're here because we all sense something that's coming that isn't about the money. It's about a change in power structures. It's about technology. It's about a fundamental shift in how literally everything is done. And man, it's just I'm drunk on that Kool-Aid, to be honest.
Dude, that part is going to be so exciting. Like that part is going to be, I don't even know if I'll have words for it. Maybe a couple tips, but maybe not so many words. That part will be. But is that going to be an event that's going to be like, oh, it happened, or is it just going to be this really slow rollout over the next decade?
Well, you know,
like I'm just trying to gauge that.
Well, let me shift to this. This is something I was going to end with, just some perspective, show people where we're at, where we're heading. Right? It kind of fits in here. So, what is it going to look like? Well, a big part of what's coming is the metaverse, right? That's a key component. Just us all being connected online through platforms that are easily gated and whatever, this and that. But like, when is it coming and what does that look like? Well, the fact is we're already there. We're already there. And this video from New Year's Eve shows that. Everybody's in the metaverse right now. Like people watching the spectacle out there through their phone, and we see this at concerts. We see this everywhere, right? People who think it's not coming are out of their minds because they're literally in it right now. They're literally doing it right here. The question is still more about when does it reach the heights? When does it reach, kind of that the pinnacle or that peak where there's the point of no return? Maybe that's what we'll call it. And that's where we're early. So this thread caught my eye from Punk6529, and Yatsu replied to it, comparing the market cap of crypto and NFTs and mentioning how small it is. It's still not as big as just a single mega corporation like Apple. So
I
We're
agree, man.
there.
I think it's a generational thing, right? Like we are the old fogies. We are the fucking boomers in this space, and also the fucking pioneers. We got the scars to prove it.
Yeah.
But like, I think the people that really embrace this new metaverse and this new standard, they're too young right now, and they don't really have the acquisitive power yet to really. I mean, some of them do, of course, right? They're the early bird degens. They're probably watching us right now, but you know, I'm very curious, Henry, to see how that happens. Like, is it gonna just be like one day we're gonna wake up and it's like we're there, we won? I personally, I would like to have a. Let's not call it a cataclysmic event, right? Because those can be those can also come with their own baggage. But I would definitely like to have a victory lap. Would love to have a moment where you know we knock down the opponent and it's like it's over.
You know what?
You know, like we're done.
Like not quite a watershed moment. That's part of it, but something where it's clear we won and that there's no going back. Something like Gensler being booted and a fundamental shift here in the States and how we look at Web3 and crypto.
And you kind of see it, right? Like some regulatory bodies are already like, you know, they use this very flowery language, but basically they're saying we can't control this.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, with Bitcoin, it's like, you know, after 2 years of studying this thing, we've come to the conclusion that we can't do shit about it.
That's
like,
it. Yeah, it's funny you see people like Jim Cramer saying stuff like that. He came out and said last week, he's like, Bitcoin's never going away, ever. So people are slowly starting to catch on and they realize, I think that's what gave us all confidence to go in as hard as we went in. That's maybe the key point, realizing it's never going away and you can't stop it. Like you cannot stop this stuff. So when you finally, like when you admit that, when you come to terms with it and you kind of surrender, then you can start dreaming. You're like, okay, if it's never going away, well, what are the possibilities here? And that's where things really, really open up. That's when you have your aha moment. You're like, oh my God, all this crazy talk from like the crypto cult and stuff, maybe they're actually right. You know, maybe this does change everything. I think that's like the progression.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like if we go from this like mini bull, ETF gets approved, Bitcoin happening, into a potential Republican administration?
Oh my God.
That would be interesting. I think we'll see more as the year goes on because Henry, we talked about this last year at some point. I'm like, dude, I think the whole crypto NFT Web3 conversation is going to become one of the biggest talking points on campaigns. And I think it's quickly becoming more and more about that. And I think by the time we hit November, it may become like one of the key talking points. Like, what is your stance on crypto? And maybe big enough that it could, well, could it be big enough that it could swing an election, you know, in favor of one candidate or the other? We might be
I don't know. Maybe that'd be so cool if the middle, the independents, were swayed on that type. Because I could see that there's a lot of people, like myself included, that are, you know, don't affiliate with a particular party. And to be honest with you, I could be a single issue voter if it was crypto. Like 100%. Although we already know where the Democrats stand, and we kind of have an idea where the Republicans are based on like the current setup of the SEC and just the administration in general. Like, look at the crypto rules they just came out with for tax reporting. Nonsensical.
Oh my God.
Well, so explain that. But if in a transaction over 10K, you need to report it in
10 days.
Socials and.
It's like if you receive it, you have to report. Okay, if you go and you buy a car and you pay cash over 10 grand, the dealership has to have you fill out a form that says like, hey, I'm so-and-so, here's my social, so that way they can report it, that they took a transaction of, you know, $10,000 or more. It's sort of like that premise. Like you send me probably even like an NFT worth that amount, and I'm supposed to have the burden of collecting your info.
And not only that, but like the level of info you're supposed to collect from a fucking anon, right? Like, can I please get your social security, your address?
Here's what's crazy though. It's another one of those things that they'll realize, kind of like when they realize Bitcoin's never going away, they're going to realize they can't do shit about that. They can't do anything. They cannot force you to. That only happens though when you don't need to offboard, right? You don't need an off-ramp out of crypto. When Bitcoin becomes what we know it's going to become, that inevitable thing, payment accepted everywhere and anywhere. At that point, they can't do anything about it. They cannot do it because you're not needing to put it in your bank account, so they don't have that leverage over you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even imagine that? Can you even imagine that they couldn't stop it if they wanted to? If you want to accept a form of crypto whether it's Bitcoin or Matic or anything like that, what can they do? They can't stop you. They can literally only stop you at the point of off ramping.
Yep.
And so if we don't have to off ramp, they got nothing. I don't know. That'd be an amazing day.
Absolutely.
Oof, that'd be
I'm going to steer
fantastic.
us towards a little something else here, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
and
We went off track.
No, this stuff's juicy.
That's a
That's
good
my
track.
favorite shit, man. But yeah, I mean, the NFT space kind of changing right in front of us. Biggie, we've been talking about this on NFT Live, just this, the move out, not necessarily moving up and growing that way, but we're spreading out to Solana, spreading out to Bitcoin, and probably some people are starting to change their tune about Ethereum a bit. Where Ethereum was expected to be the dominant chain for NFTs. No questions about it. That's going to be the chain. Maybe not as sure about that anymore. Solana last month, for the first time ever, flipped Ethereum in a 30-day period, throttled back now. But again, it's just one of those indicators that people are comfortable on other chains and they're testing the waters over there. When they go there and they test it, and if they get some profits over there, they're hooked. They're hooked. It's
Or
that
find
simple.
a community, what have you, right? Like it's like I love it because it's finally like the recognition that there's other lands to explore, right? I do see it like during the age of geographic exploration, right? And like when they discovered the new world, it's like all of a sudden everybody's going off into all these different chains to stake their claim and to check out the community and to see what projects they're launching. It's exciting, man. I know some people are bummed, and I don't know, they had this like 2-3 chain thesis in their mind, but I know not all of them are going to survive, but I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. We need that.
So, in the way that projects can survive just because they have a community and they don't really have to be making money, they don't have to be building. In a way, you can just be, riding out the storm. And we saw a lot of that over the bear market. I wonder if blockchains can do the same, although they cost so much to operate, right? So while we don't expect all the blockchains to survive, can most of them survive just by existing and fostering the community?
It's a good question. Maybe
expensive running these. I think that's what maybe makes it.
I do think like you're gonna have some type of value proposition. Although I think with the tech, like I just don't see the tech ever stopping, right? Like right now, like what is it? It's like you got the data availability play, you have the parallelization settlement play, you have the ZK rollup play, the optimist play, and I'm surprised the DAGs haven't come back, right? Like Phantom and HBAR, who are like completely different consensus mechanism. I do
Biggie,
think,
what is
like,
that, DAGs?
Yeah.
What is that?
Dialectic acrylic graphs. It's wild, man. It's like instead of a blockchain, like the best way to describe it is like imagine a tree with a bunch of branches. So I mean, kind of along the lines of the parallelization, although I see parallelization as like a bunch of antennas in different buildings kind of syncing up at specific times, different things. But I mean, that's just on the tech side, right? I don't see that stopping ever. I think like people are going to keep coming up with funky new different ways of having like faster, lighter nodes, like bigger consensus mechanisms, a better consensus mechanism, and that's all good. But in the end, like what you were talking about, Henry, is like I don't know if that is going to be enough. I think you will have to have like a use case, a specific use case or brand or flavor, right? Like we're talking a lot about like how art on Solana is different from Bitcoin, it's different from Ethereum, or like I don't know, like certain chains are like used more by certain geographic destinations. Like Say is very Asia centric, whereas I would say like Near is very European centric, specifically like Ukrainians and all that stuff. Like you will have to capture some kind of. I don't think there's a defining factor, but
Like
you
an
will
identity,
have to
right?
capture something that makes people stay there and say, for these purposes or for this brand of art or for this type of lingo or vibe, like this is the chain for me, right? And like, yeah, you're gonna live and die by that. So you want to encapsulate and capture as much as you can from all of that.
Dude, check this out.
Oh,
First off, Rajan is here. I fucking love this dude. He's here all the time. He's a big supporter. He's awesome. He grabbed a node monkey at 0.09. Huge
nice
win
move
there, man. Congrats on that. Those things,
Yeah.
node monkeys, dude. I mean, they give me the crypto punk of Bitcoin vibe. They really, really do. I know some people are not so bullish on that team over there, and maybe for good reason, but it's hard to deny the energy and community they've been able to capture here. That is
And I applaud them for that. You know, like you got to be happy for them even for that, right? Like, yeah.
Are they 0.25 right now, or where are they at?
They are, yeah, quarter Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Really, still just it's kind of consolidating right now. Really starting to ramp up. It's a really special collection. I'm kicking myself for not getting it. I had a chance at a cheetah at 0.08, and I just sat there for a moment because I don't think I had enough to cover the fees with that. And then saw that disappear, and just knowing what that could be right now. But again,
there's more. Exactly. There's more opportunities.
There's always more opportunities. There's going to be plenty. Hell, we see it already. I'm going to show that in just a moment. But this fucking weirdo puppet collection over on Bitcoin starting to really do
that one's
well.
hilarious, man.
It's crazy. Check this out though. So this chart, Beanie tweeted this. It's probably almost a week ago at this point, but just showing Ethereum losing that market share to these other chains. You know, Bitcoin really taking that market share. But it's because these other chains are really attracting people. And he also pointed this out, just the amount of people dumping into bids, which tells me people looking for quick liquidity to get to those other chains. It's to move into them and be timely and get into stuff early enough. But these chains are really doing all the right things to hook people. We had that LFG airdrop last week, and I think that's still open for another week or two here.
Did they really have like a second claim, Huda?
They're gonna
with LFG, like for the people that didn't claim. So like maybe like if you claimed already, you want to revisit and see if you get more.
Yeah. So I need to do that, and I also need to go through my my other wallets. I only did it on my primary. But yeah, that is still rocking, and you know it's not a nothing airdrop too, and you never know what those can turn into. But yeah, people moving to Solana, people moving to Say, people friggin' blowing up Bitcoin. Again, all this super attractive stuff. Talking about super attractive, but on these other chains, it's really incredible to see it branching out. Henry, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, like we've had this discussion, and not that we're not on the same page with it. You've said it for, I think it was like when we were buying some NFTs on Palm. Was it like DC Comics maybe that were on Palm or yeah, like some funky chains where we're buying like some baseball cards and things like that. And you would say like there's gonna be tons of chains, and I don't want to say you didn't say that Ethereum wouldn't win out. But I'm chain agnostic, you're chain agnostic, but at the end of the day, I think I'm maybe a little bit more of a maxi than you when it comes to Ethereum. Certainly willing, like I've got some Solana teas and I like Tezos and doing ordinals. But at the end of the day, I feel like Bitcoin and Ethereum are still going to be the two major chains. Like I think there's room for Solana. I think there's room for other chains to still have vibrant communities. But I still think the gold standard, and if you even want to say the silver standard, when it comes to NFTs, I think the gold standard is going to be mainnet. When it comes to obviously crypto itself, I think obviously Bitcoin's the gold standard, but it's hard for me to picture with the head start that Ethereum has had and with the type of value that's had. Like, okay, highest priced NFT on Solana is it Mad Lads?
I think it's Mad Lads still, yeah.
Okay, and that's is that like 150 Sol? Or I don't know. I don't quite know where they're
back from that. I'm gonna peek real quick.
So while you're there, like Henry, like how much are they? Wow,
yeah, 170 Sol. Yeah, man.
Well, they reached 180, right, at some point.
What's the value USD value of that?
Like 18 grand, 16 to 18 grand.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my. By the way, not dogging anybody. Like that's a great win, right? But like, it's a giant leap to say like, oh, our premier PFP is 18,000 USD when you've got punks that have sold for $7 million, apes that have sold, and we're not just talking like one or two. I mean, you have tons of multi-million-dollar NFT sales on Ethereum. Granted, it was 21 bull market vibes, but there's still things like that hold their value. So I mean, that's a massive jump from a $20,000 PFP to a $1 million alien or something like that. So I still think in the end, the Ethereum will hold value for like the really good projects for the provenance that Ethereum has with some of the early projects. But yeah, I could completely see other chains still doing well, just maybe not. Could be wrong. I could eat these words 3 years from now, and maybe Mad Lads are $700,000 floor. Who knows? But
You're totally right, man. It's, it has to start somewhere, but people are going to protect their bags. So these ETH collectors who have those very pricey NFTs are going to do everything in their power to drive attention to ETH, to drive attention to those collections. It's like we see in those early art blocks collections. Those values are cemented now. Fidenzas and ringers, all those things. Again, you got the right people in them, people with influence and deep pockets, and at that point, I think that's how you really establish things. So, and that's what has me, on the same page as you as far as the Ethereum NFTs and the value they'll hold and their significance never going away. You know what I mean? They're always king in that regard. But I think it's going to grow so big that the other chains will have their versions.
I think so as well, Henry and Huda. Like, yes, Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, it's gonna just out of sheer Lindy effect, and like it's the birthplace, right? Especially of Web3 and like NFT culture. Even if NFTs started in Bitcoin, like they really flourished in Ethereum, and I agree with you. And I think like down the line, but I do see a future where like the Ethereum main chain is really just used for very select transactions and verification, and we're going to go on to these L2s or these other rails, right? Like EVM rails that are going to sprawl up. I do think the reason Ethereum is going to, outlast or last for so long is because it has become the common tongue, right? Like name another project that doesn't have an EVM project at the moment, right? Like you just need it if you want to be able to attract or try to eat some market share or make it easy for people to bridge over to your platform and start transacting. My question there would be though, like if Ethereum and Solidity is the new lingua franca of the blockchain ecosystem, the one that I'm really interested in is like projects like Near that are going to enable JavaScript, right? Because when you look at the amount of devs that are like competent on Solidity versus JavaScript, it's a fucking gargantuan gap. And I think if they're able to perform and onboard that next generation of coders, holy shit! Like
I like Near, by the way. I've got a bag of Near. Huda did all of his drops on Near. I don't know if you remember that, but that was where he did all his NFTs. I liked it. So it's an easy chain to operate on.
It's got a culture, right? Do you have any NFTs there, Henry, by any chance? Who do you belong to?
Yeah. So our friend who's in our idiots group, Dead Polaroid, he was the one who got me turned on to Near because he released all of his NFTs on there. I probably have I feel like at least 100, if not more, of his NFTs on Near. Yeah, like I think I don't know what Near's going for now.
They're not like PFP NFTs or stuff like that, right? I imagine
there are. Yeah, there are. What's Near going for now? Because I bought a bag, I think around like $3 or something like that. Maybe $4. It's been a minute. I don't even know. I think at one point it hit like 15.
So I love that, man. That's great that we're near brethren, right? Like I absolutely adore those guys. Like that, it's such a cool community, like they're very capable, and I feel like it really solidified for good or for bad during the whole Ukraine fiasco. A lot of those devs are Ukrainian. And like when that happened, a lot of remember the Ukraine DAO, the community funds, like a lot of the donations came from over in the Near ecosystem, and it's just really cool, smart dudes, and very different flavor of humor too in some of their PFP communities. If it ever gets to that, I'll drop a couple of my faves there. But it's an ecosystem that's I think is not going to go away, and with what they're coming up with, they can definitely be a contender, right up there with Solana.
I was going to say they feel like a Solana like chain, like that. Like it feels like that could be a like those two seem, I don't want to say similar, but could be competitors to each other.
And they already have their EVM compatible chain, right? Like Aurora, and it's fast and good. So.
Henry, are you on speaker? I just want to I want to kind of get our audio situated. Yeah, just getting a lot of feedback.
No, I'm on Bluetooth, but I'll mute when I'm not talking.
All right, cool. Yeah, pulling this up here real quick for English, pointing out this
Boogle.
Boogle, right? I mean, talking about kind of the value of NFTs. The Ethereum ones, of course. Just the prices we were talking before. But again, Solana is starting to establish some of those kind of key collections. This one, tiny collection though. I think it's just a couple.
Yeah,
200 something. But they are building their legacy. They're building their lore over there.
they're
I
the
do think we'll
cabal,
see.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna start seeing other chains with those. There will never be another CryptoPunk. You know what I mean? There'll never be one of those again. But I do think we'll see another Bored Ape again at some point. That I think is
And you're
pretty
gonna
damn
have a
likely.
GTA and a Roblox and a
Right.
God knows how many other things, like, right? Like, uh, I mean, at some point you won't be the flavor of the month, and that's okay, right? Especially if you're here collecting for posterity.
Right.
Uh, I think these are those moments where you get to do your land grabbing for future generations, right? And be like, yeah, check it out. I have a squiggle or a CryptoPunk or metaverse land in such and such place or what have you.
So I want to address this comment from Rajan. So a comparison, some like a guy on YouTube was making here. I lost my screen. Okay, comparing Bitcoin frogs to CryptoPunks, Node Monkeys to Bored Apes, Goosenoodles to Pudgy Penguins. Yeah, I would not agree at all. Bitcoin frogs, I would say, are
Yeah.
closer to not even a Zuki. They're just a PFP out there. Node Monkeys, to me, that's the CryptoPunk. The Goosenoodles, man, it's hard to find exact analogs there. Goosenoodles are phenomenal.
I would say
Quite
Bitcoin
pudgy.
frogs are like, the goblins.
Yes. Okay,
Came
that's
out of
good.
left field and just pumped like crazy, but I don't know how much staying power they'll have.
Yeah, I think they fade away at some point. Goosenoodles, I think, are more like MFers, something like that. Very,
Mm.
very community driven. The CCO narrative you have there too. But yeah, Node Monkeys, I can't put up there with BAYC. They feel more kind of core and essential. Like this early, they already have that vibe. To me, they feel like CryptoPunks. But yeah, I think this is just giving Bitcoin frogs a little too much credit. I think they were just early and not much more than that. English, would you have any other comparisons there? Hey, he's saying good take. I'll take that then. Yeah, those Node Monkeys those guys are special. That is the CryptoPunk of that blockchain.
I don't know, Huda. I
Not
don't
seeing it, not
know.
feeling
I
it yet.
don't know. I hate the fact that I didn't my fucking standards or morals. Like, seriously, like, I don't understand where like my degen side doesn't come in there and be like, just get them to make money, and if for any other reason, right? I like you was tracking them from the very get-go. I didn't sleep in on the mid, but like I really started tuning out when they changed their their fundraising mechanism, right? And that's bad on me, because I agree with you. The fire is art. I think CryptoPunk's narrative, though, I understand the comparison, but I think that will show itself down the line. Like, I think you would need to ask a lot more from the Node Monkeys than 2 weeks, right? Like,
Yes.
yes,
Dude.
and yes, like
Yes.
all these OG and
Yes.
whales have like aped in and bought them up, right? But my question there is, like, I understand like early inscriptions have their flex power, right? But at some point, I feel like that's just not enough for me, especially when it comes with like, I get it if it's like a generative piece of art, right? And it's like early inscriptions and stuff like that. But if it's a 10K collection, sure, the early inscription counts, right? But I think the community, like, I just demand more from the community, and like, not necessarily a roadmap or what you do, but it's just like, I mean, it's 2 weeks, folks. Like, and like, a lot of the stuff that some people are starting to claim is like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's very dismissive for other communities that have been there longer. Case in point, Megapunks. Like, yes, they were inscribed later, but they've been traded for way longer, and that community's been there for quite some time. And like, I'm full bias. I'm a Megapunk. I'm a Megapont. I've been in those communities for the longest times, and honestly, we're not bothered. We don't necessarily care about that placement, right? But I do see like a lot of these people that have aped in and that are rocking you know, it feels like it's like you're trying to force it. You're just trying to like put it in our face and be like, yes, we were here first, and our art is amazing, and we're fucking whales, and we got them right. And it's like, okay, good, but let's see what happens after, right? Like
Hey,
I just demand more.
do you remember Momoguro?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody remember how that was going to be like the most hyped mint on mainnet?
Mhm.
Web2 Studio coming in, 40, 50,000 people in Discord, chat flying, floor price driving up. Anybody talk about them anymore?
No.
Anybody? No, they don't. Nobody gives a shit. It is hilarious to me to even hear that a YouTuber is commenting on comparing a 2-week-old project to something that was born in 2017 and wondering if it's close to the same thing, or even compare an ordinal project to Bored Ape Yacht Club. Like, come back a
Mhm.
year from now, come back 2 years from now. First off, Bored Apes just had a whole different thing going for them with celebrity endorsements, and I think it's gonna be really hard for anybody to reach those kind of heights with the type of collaborations they've had in Web 2. But I'm with you, man. I think it's hilarious for people to think that these are just all of the sudden comparable to projects that have been around for years and have been building their communities.
Yes, but think of this, and maybe we can end kind of around here, at least this topic. Okay, for any of us who missed the Bored Apes, any other projects, you know, maybe like an Azuki that reached that, you know, kind of that top tier, that top level. So after you miss it, you tell yourself you need to learn how to identify those kind of projects early. So what is it about them? And a lot of it is the action, the hype, the FOMO. It's just all those like those things that you can't really quantify. But the point is, yeah, it's hard. Maybe it's early to compare them to that, but it is important to start looking to see if they are that early, right? Before they reach those prices that match those top tier projects, are they already starting to check the boxes of, you know, what those projects did early on? And I really feel like I'm seeing that in Node Monkeys. So yes, comparing them directly right now doesn't make sense, but projecting it out and thinking of where projects can be, I see it in them. I just see it in them.
Well, yeah, it will remain to
All
be
things
seen.
possible, right? Like, all things are possible.
And guys,
It's just really, it's really early. I feel like,
yeah,
I
no, I
want
mean,
to see if they start shipping stuff or building like, and like again, I know that they don't have a roadmap. They're trying to do the, you know, the punks thing, but I think also when you look at punks, look at everything that came out of it, right? It's not just Larva Labs; it's art blocks. You know, Snowfro was a punk day one. He was a community manager. He like fomented that community, and then he went out and built stuff. And like you look at all the like the key punks out there, right? Like they've been like they're not just holders, right? Like they're not just they weren't just flexing, they were building, right? And that's where I'm a little bit like, okay, so you got your inscriptions there early. The art is definitely fire, and now you're definitely doing like great push to start fomenting that community, right? But in my opinion, you know, like there are communities out there that were into NFTs and Bitcoin layer twos way before it was in vogue, way before even ordinals were invented, and they were trash, dude. Like they, you know, like megapunks made fun of all the time. Like,
Yep.
what are you talking about? Stacks is never going to be a thing. What are you talking about? NFTs on Bitcoin? What bullshit is that? And these guys have been shipping. In fact, like next week, they're going to be doing the teleburn mechanism that you've heard me, Huda, talk about, which I think if it goes well, we're going to see. I wonder if we're going to see so many Ethereum projects, maybe like some that need a little bit of a jolt, right? Say, hey, you know what? We're going to start teleporting into Bitcoin, right? Because it's a push
I think we're going to see
button,
a lot
ease
of
of
that.
functionality, right? And like, so to me, that those are the builders. Like those are guys were not waiting for ordinals. They weren't, you know, like those guys have been building and shipping. And if you look at like the Megapon trajectory, like all kinds of wacky shit and some failed experiments and what have you, but like they've been there when it wasn't cool, and they've been building way before then, and they're not vying for your attention or for the floor price or any of that kind. To me, that's valuable, man. Like to me, that's the people that I want to fuck with. And again, super bag vibes for sure. But you know, when I see the shit that people are trying to like compare, Node monkeys too. That's where I'm a little bit. It doesn't sit well with me as a holder, or with me that's somebody that's been through several of the bear cycles and stuff, and be like, okay, man, like yes, it's
Biggie, I'm
fire.
with you. Like,
But
because I want those other collections to get their due. The ones that, like you said, were there earlier, were they're building, and
and I hope so, man. I hope all these new Node monkeys holders are about that, right? But like, if you want to make it into CryptoPunks, you got to do more than just flex it online and show me the floor price. I want to see a community. I want to see building happen on Bitcoin. You know, if not, then yeah, you're just pumping bags.
Okay. I got a question, because I've wondered this on ordinals, and I like ordinals. And like personally, I like ordinals more than I like doing anything on Solana. But one thing I've wondered is everything seems very point to point right now. Like here in this project, they're waiting for the pump to dump to get into this project. I think to your point, like there are communities, they tend to be smaller, like much smaller than a lot of the big projects on like Mainnet or Solana. But is anybody shipping anything? Is anybody building anything that is going to keep the community sticking around for years?
In that community specifically?
To me,
I just mean in general, like ordinals got really popular beginning of 2023.
Yes.
And so like what I'm curious about is like who is building, who's building where people.
So in my opinion there, Henry, the building is going to happen on L2s.
Well,
because
guys,
you will have to, I'm sorry.
Well, you're right, but we can't blow past like parent-child inscriptions, things like that have been built now that are not really getting used until now. Like Pizza Ninjas, they're coming out I think next week, and they have not given a lot of details, but I do think they're going to start using some of this new tech in there. So there's the recursive inscriptions, there's the parent-child stuff. So here you have something that I think is fascinating. This is Julian Assange's Afghan war logs, right? This is some whistleblower content that now through the parent-child inscription process, you're going to have like 70,000 inscriptions that are all linked together. So using it to preserve, and it's just like one of the first great examples of that tech being used. The building is happening. I guess that ultimately is the point. We just saw the first round of Bitcoin, and we're still in the first round, but the tech, those devs have been there building, working on the products, working on the UI, but also how they work, like at the fundamental level.
So Huda, in my opinion, there, what you're talking about is like a competition of different token standards, but it's very limited, right? Like the differences are, I don't want to say they're not like they're inconsequential, but here's the thing. When you're talking about ordinals and these different token standards and what you can do, you're at some point, you're just going to have to acknowledge the big clunky wall that is Bitcoin.
Yes.
That it's meant to be that way. It's meant to be that way. It's a feature. It's not a bug. And I do agree, right? Like it's part of the reason why it's so like the most immutable blockchain out there. And so if you want to eventually foment the type of activity and congregation and utility that a lot of these PFP projects want to have, right? Whether it's having rigs and being able to get on the metaverse or being able to access like Web3 functionality very easily. At some point, what are you going to be waiting an hour to do a transaction and pay those crazy fees? You're going to have to acknowledge a layer 2. You just have to. And I don't care if it's Lightning, Taproot, Rootstock or Stacks. You're going to have to. And I think that's where we go back to what Henry was asking is like, who's shipping, who's building? I don't know. It's been a while since I've visited Rootstock, right? What was it? Sovereign, that they did their DeFi stuff. It was all right. I think mostly you're going to see Lightning as a contender, maybe like they're very focused on transactions and like maybe some DeFi there. But honestly, to me, Stacks, again, it's hard to beat because it's very familiar. Like it's a wallet and it's very familiar. It's very adjacent to what we're used to, as Web3 transactors. And at the same time, you have the Nakamoto out. Like I haven't seen, I know Lightning can be pretty fast, but 5-second transactions for Bitcoin is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And look at this. If you want to know where people are building for Bitcoin or have been building for Bitcoin, it's the Stacks ecosystem. And like, if you just take the time to kind of understand and see what the consensus mechanism is, it's called proof of transaction, but it's 100% like it cannot exist without Bitcoin. So it's not something that can be inflated or manipulated. It's a really elegant solution, right? As a layer to it, think of it like a ZK rollup, but on Bitcoin. And I think like if you want to look at the people that embraced like all this stuff that people are getting psyched about in Bitcoin right now, it's the builders on Stacks, because they've been, like I said, they embraced this way before it was in vogue, and they've been building. And there's some cool PFP projects there that do really cool, not just Megapont. Like Crash Punks are fantastic, and then the Satoshables are incredible. And some of these like let you do what you do in Mirror with Ethereum, right? But now, like, imagine like your blog is inscribed on Bitcoin.
Dude,
How fucking crazy is that? It's like, check out my blog.
Is it on Bitcoin like L1?
Hmm?
It's inscribed on Bitcoin like L1?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
okay, that to me is my favorite spot for Bitcoin, replacing IPFS. And that all their blockchains, you know, you have whatever and it references back to Bitcoin. I think that is the sweet spot. And of course, high-end collectibles, high-end art preserved right on Bitcoin L1. But I'd love to see it work like IPFS. And every blockchain touches it, you know?
Yeah.
To me, perfect world. Any Bitcoin conversation, though, I'm making sure to end or at least point out badgers who just do not get the credit.
I want to get one, dude, because of what you said. And again, like keyword there is the community, right? Like I heard it's pretty cool.
It's great. They got great alpha. They got great builders. But it's just interesting seeing them being left off lists, and they're these arbitrary lists. But you know, even Ord.io pointing out or not including them in the earliest 10K collections, and it's more like how do you define a 10K collection? And it's a real question.
That's what I mean. Like this early inscription stuff is like up to a point. Is like, can we fucking like? I don't want to say give it up, but like, yeah, like there's a reason mooncats aren't a thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like there's a reason crypto kitties. Nobody gives a shit about them, and they were early, but it's not the same, man. Like I don't know.
Badgers are the Kongs of ordinals. They really are. Like I feel like they're faded and they're faded all the time, and they've got an awesome community. I love them, man.
Yeah. Sly, that's good awesome to see you. Parent-child inscriptions. I can't explain it technically, but it's just a way where you have one inscription reference another inscription, and it kind of falls in line where you can have all these child inscriptions referencing back to the first one. So it's just a way to make a collection in a way where they're tied on chain. And it is something people are building around at this point, and it is helpful. But yeah, badgers, they deserve love. And again, Megapunks, absolutely. There's some great stuff going on over there, so just awesome to see that. Andrew, look at that. Confirmed his allocations to Stacks.
Yes, sir,
I need to dive into those PFPs over there, man. I didn't realize there was so much.
Oh, dude, I'd love to give you a tour. I'm a bag holder of the good ones and the shitty ones, but I've been there day one. I absolutely love that space. Hey guys, man, I'm so sorry. I have to bolt. My kid is like calling my name. But I plan to. This was fun, Henry. It was great to finally meet you and chat, and I'm loving this community, coming on and what we're covering. I plan to be here on Saturdays, so. I'll be seeing you again, Huda, and I'll see you on Monday. Monday we actually have Mark, the Megapont founder, come in and talk about teleburning. So
good shit.
I hope you're there to ask some tough questions. It's going to be fun.
I'll make sure I'm there. But yeah, glad you joined, and you're welcome every time we do this show. It is always an open door here for you, Biggie.
Thank you, brother. Henry, it's a pleasure, man.
Have a great weekend. Likewise, sir. Have a great weekend, man.
Take it easy.
Henry, if you got time, why don't we finish up with just a couple more quick stories?
If you are not going to include the Miami alien story, then I'm just going to leave now.
Silly. It's so there's no alien. Hang on. Let's bring it up.
Yeah, it was it really a teen fight? I know that it wasn't aliens, but was it a teen fight?
I think so. I mean, I'm going to try to find the video real quick. I think this one is just like, hang on, maybe this is a good video. I think it's just everyone on high alert for, maybe kind of terrorist related things. But yeah, you had this huge police presence that showed up in Miami. They said it was for a fight between, maybe at first I heard 4 teens, then I heard a couple dozen. But dude, hundreds of police cars, right? Hundreds. Like a response unlike anything I think most of us have seen before. But yeah, people saying they think it's a cover up for aliens. I just think it's something that got out of hand, right? Like, I think it's that simple. They thought there was some kind of attack or shooting at the mall, maybe something on a big scale, and they sent everyone. They just sent everyone. But actually, is
Oh,
it an
gotcha.
alien?
Okay, okay.
Like, what are we looking at here?
I mean, like, have you seen the videos of like the perspective? And granted, I don't trust anything that I even see anymore because I know things can be distorted or faked. But like of like it was an overhead shot of like a figure that seems completely distorted and pixelized, but quite big compared to like a human in the same kind of photo. I'm sure everybody saw that.
Yeah.
I'll just say when Moisty brought it up in Idiots, when he brought up aliens in Miami, I don't know, man. My heart races.
Got you
It's like I
excited.
get a little sweaty, and
Full attention.
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. Like literally couldn't wait. I'm like, it's happening.
It's
And then I saw your comment where you're like, "Nah, dude, it's fake." I'm like,
it's
oh
I mean
man,
it's common, man. There is something to all this for sure. And man, nobody loves it more than me. But for whatever reason, that one stood out to me right away as bullshit. Like I don't know, man. Just that there doesn't seem to be anything real
Okay.
about that.
Okay, here's a question then, because I feel like this is a reasonable point to bring up. Why, and maybe there has been video released since, but if it was teenagers fighting in the mall, a mall filled with people, is it weird that there hasn't been any footage of that that's leaked out, or has there been?
It is weird. I haven't looked. It is weird, but also if it was a small thing that just like, kind of got misreported first, maybe they're just like, again, if it was just a couple people fighting, then maybe nobody was really recording it. I don't know.
Okay, how does something? Okay. How does dispatch does not? The amount of people who got there, and it takes time to get that many cop cars down there. It's not like everybody got there within 2 minutes, right? Wouldn't you think there would have to like to keep having that many cars there for like the extended period that they were there? You'd think if it was just misreported that, a fair amount of those would have left once they understood that it wasn't, a terrorist attack or something like that.
Right. Well, I guess I don't know. Again, if they reporting it as like, I think it went out to, like over the radio as a terrorist attack. And I think they just sent everyone. I just think that's all it was.
Okay. You've heard that as the explanation that it was reported as a terrorist attack.
And I think they have a recording. It's like I don't know how you vet what's real or not. So somebody put out a recording of the call. They use codes, right? So I don't know the codes, but whatever code they use, somebody said that is a code they use for kind of a terrorist event.
That would explain that. Okay.
God damn it! Hang on.
That would completely explain.
It would make a little more sense, right? Like that kind of response and. But, because they were firing off fireworks, so people thought there was probably explosions and gunshots and just something crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, this one I don't see anything here. As much as I want it, dude, I want it bad.
Yeah.
We'll get it. We'll get our alien event at some point here. Maybe we'll call it. I did want to mention, let me just end here. So Bitcoin turned 15 this week, and I didn't realize that till after its birthday. But Bitcoin, happy birthday on 15 years. What was cool here is I didn't realize that that Bitcoin and Jack Butcher's checks share the same birthday. And like I with him, everything's by design. So he may have done that on purpose. But Jack Butcher also now putting out some NFTs, some ordinals on Bitcoin. He actually inscribed them back in February last year, or I guess earlier this year. So something he did a while ago. I don't know if he had in mind I don't know if he had the plans already laid out then, or he just did it to get it there, get the provenance. But really cool week just in general for Bitcoin. The node monkeys on top of the birthday, on top of the Jack Butcher art over there. Again,
shouldn't he chill a little bit? Am I crazy to think maybe Jack Butcher should chill on releasing art? Or is it just like
he doesn't care?
Is it just like put it out whenever? Yeah, okay.
He doesn't. He said, "I don't care about your bags," and I love that. So if it were somebody who was in it for partially for that to kind of build a community and drive some value to them, yeah, I would agree. But he's come right out and said, "Your bags do not matter." He's all about just making really cool statements. In a way, yeah. I mean, they have to. I mean, he's doing well off it. But I like his approach. I like that he's always just making you think. I like that he's so smart and clever and is able to stay relevant always. And I think he always will. He's gifted in that way. So okay. You remember those signature NFTs, the Red Bull signatures? That goes back to the trademark NFTs, trademark and signatures.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Dude, really wanted one. I don't think I was really ever got to the position to be able to get one. In a way, I'm glad I'm not. And
I thought you had
because
one.
trademarks, yes. Signatures.
Yeah, I thought you had a signature. No.
Oh no, I wish I was quickly trying to sell stuff to get one. But they hit 2, 3, 4 ETH really quick. Right now, 2.6,
Okay.
reasonable, but okay. So to your point, should he chill on art? The thing that's holding me back from even chasing something like this is I think very much. I think what he'll do is release a lot of collections and a lot of small ones. So where like at first I'm like, okay, if this is his Fidenza or his Ringer, and you have an artist signature collection, man, these other guys, their signature collections are 10K editions and they're worth, 20, 30, 40 ETH, whatever. Like, so a Jack Butcher signature collection, if it is his signature collection with just 200 editions, you got to imagine that would be worth a fuck ton. Well, not if he's going to keep releasing small collections. So, like the Ordinals collection he's doing, it's 500 editions, and you only get one from having a single check. But again, I think the writing's on the wall that he's going to keep putting out art. He can keep doing these small exclusive ones, and to me, that limits the value on these signatures. So it's kind of why I've held off.
Is he
trying
selling the
really hard to get
Ordinals?
No, you only
Or
get those
just dropping
from having a single check, and you got to burn. You basically have to do like the merge, like Pox merge collection. You got to merge your checks down till you get to one. In total, I think there can only be like, I think 250 of them. That's just the max that the supply will allow. So you get a single check, you get one of those ordinals, and at this point, though, I think you can spend about 20 ETH to be able to get yourself a single check. And it's probably, I mean, those ordinals are probably going to be worth a Bitcoin or so. I mean, just Jack Butcher on Bitcoin. Yeah, you could probably make a really smart play here, burning down some of those checks NFTs. So
Interesting.
putting that out there for any whales in the audience, which don't know if English, you're a whale now. We can call English a whale. Dude's fucking next level.
Loaded.
Really. He's like, legit. English is absolutely killing it.
English is doing a Spaces, I think, for Sappos tonight. Am I right on that, English?
Cool.
6 p.m. EST, I think I saw.
Dude, I'll be tuning in. He's got a great show on Sunday evenings too with what's his name, Eddie. He does the Taproot Wizards community spaces. English is everywhere, and again, English's content is fucking excellent. I'm honored to be a part of that little noun show with him, and maybe next season coming here really soon. Well, checks, well, you know what, Rajan? I don't know what their all-time high was before. We could check that real quick. Will they break it? At least in this period where people are trying to get those single checks. Yeah. What was their average price? Was 1.5 ETH. As there's a squeeze to get those last single checks, yeah, I could see that happening. Does it maintain it? No. And especially once they're all minted out, once you get those 250 checks, no. But yeah, they can hit that again. I see no reason why that couldn't happen. What else? Any other significant events this week? There were some. I'm not going to touch on them all, but like Logan Paul offering refunds on those crypto zoos, the Mickey Mouse NFT stuff, all stuff I think we've been, we're all pretty keyed in, so we're aware of all that stuff. Pixel Vault doing some big shit this week. You know what? Here's a perfect one to end on. Historic NFT sale, and it is historic, man. Those lost Robbies. I'll always argue 340K. I think anything under $1 million is cheap for these things. I do think these are just about the most significant art we have on the blockchain here, right? Early AI art, early crypto art. It's like a part of the lore, the story of NFTs, how they were given away and hundreds of them lost. So $340,000 sale of this lost Robbie, cheap.
Yeah, it seems cheap. That seems like a great deal for somebody.
English, I did those boogles. What was it? A $250,000 sale of that one? Yeah, boogles are great. Oh, I'm sorry, I scrolled up. That wasn't a new comment here. All right, guys, let's call it a show.
No, let's keep going, man. Like 30 more minutes. I had fun. It's been a couple weeks since I'd been on, so it's nice to catch up and degen a bit.
Yeah, dude, for real. Again, we'll keep tweaking and working on the time, the format, all that stuff, especially as this Slam Vision stuff comes to fruition. I would love for this to be its own standalone show there. But again, maybe a more cemented lineup in the formatting. And yeah, we'll chat about that. But guys, Hope you have a fantastic Saturday. Hope your weekend is great. Tomorrow, of course, I'll do the Inside NFTs video news market. You know the deal. Also got the first interview coming up. Probably going to drop the week after next, but really cool interview with maybe the biggest Ethereum project minting in January. So quick 5-minute one-on-one interview there. Look forward to that. Look forward to you guys seeing that actually. And with that,
Ooh,
I think we're
sounds
out,
great,
right?
dude.
Yeah, dude.
Happy
It's gonna be a
Saturday,
cool one.
sir.
And dude, I want you on one of those too if you're ever down. So
I'm always down. You get it? Anything for you, man. Anything for you.
hell yeah.
You're my spirit animal or my crypto daddy or whatever you want to
Likewise.
call yourself. No, I
God
love you,
damn,
dude.
Likewise. I love you too, man. And guys, again, have a great weekend. See you next time. Peace.